Yeah, we were performers, we were sort of musicians, writers, artists. We weren't a band. But part of what we were doing involved a band, or attempts to be many bands, actually, I think is truer. But always there had to be some other element, I think, otherwise it fell flat on its arse, really. I mean, if there wasn't a funny thing that people could identify with, you're just another band.
There's a poem called Misery, but of that we'll have none, because we know of one that's always lots of fun.
You were constantly surprised with the band, just lunatic things, but it just keep popping up and saying hello.
As we go through the gates.
The audiences are so in tune with all that. If they can see you having a good time, well, they have a good time. Everybody had a good time.
Down on Jollity Farm.
I've always thought I never really want to grow up.
I think it's your solo, Vernon.
Not a good career move, of course.
All the little pigs, they grunt and howl.
I don't think any of us have ever fitted in any particular pigeonholes. Perhaps that's what we've never wanted that.
I think that they could have become one of the biggest acts of all time.
But, I mean, the Bonzos were unmanageable.
Down on Jollity Farm.
It was exactly what it was, you know, some people of a like mind, sharing a sort of a view of the world. It was of its time, and I don't think anything should be, you know, hoisted up and, you know, put on pedestals or knocked down for being of its time. Hopefully it's got a bit of, you know, human scale in it.
And the old buck rabbit sings rodeo, all the little quack, quack, quack. The cows all move, the bull does too. Everyone says, how do you do, down on Jollity Farm.
It's opened all sorts of doors, and we really had a great deal of fun over the years because of it, you know, so I suppose one just feels rather privileged that all that amusement came my way. One's just been very lucky.
Let's go back to your childhood.
I knew you'd ask me that. How did it come about? Right. It came about on the 25th of October 1962. About 12 o'clock, after the pubs had closed, in walked Viv Stanshall with my flatmate Tom Parkinson. And we sat and talked for 3 hours. He had this game where you sort of, to pass the 3 hours, chucking phrases or names into a hat, tearing them in half and repairing them. And believe it or not, Bonzo Dog Doo-Dah Band came out near enough to call it that. Now you ask other members of the Bonzo Dog Band, and that will start at various points, you know, from 1, 2, 3, 4 years later when they joined the band, but Viv and I were the only two people that actually went the full course.
1, 2, 3, 4. Britannia, Britannia, you are cool. Take a trip. Britons ever, ever, ever shall be here. Hit me, hit me.
Tell me about the Bonzo Dog Doo-Dah Band and the Bonzo Dog cartoon character.
Bonzo Dog was a very hedonistic, drunken little fellow who was always looking up ladies' kilts and trying not to pay his tuppence on the deck chairs and so on, and was very good looking graphically. I mean, he turned up in loads and loads of postcards from 1922 to about 1941 and a half or something. What we did as a band was simply to go to pubs say, has anyone got any requests? And they say, yeah, can you play Release Me? We say, immediately, dear boy, and pretend to play whatever people ask for.
So, I'll just kick it off after Royal Britannia. With the, yeah? With...
I can't remember who it was, but I was requested for jungle noises and a tiger roar.
At the age of 13, a friend of mine had what was called the study sale at school. He'd run out of money, so he sold everything in his study. And I went and was a bit late because it was my first term and didn't know about study sales. And the first thing that I saw that was available was this weird yellow album called Tadpoles with a little slidey insert where the eyes went up and down of all these people. And so I bought it. Was instantly hooked from hunting tigers onwards. And then I bought every other album I could find.
Out in India, yeah. No, Vernon, it's tigers. Tigers. Not liquor.
We did 3 months with some guys over from art schools. That split up after that Christmas, it just blew apart. And I went off and worked on a farm in Lincolnshire or somewhere. Viv carried on at Stanshall, and we used to correspond and thought we'd better get this together again. And eventually we did. And then, so that brought in some key members actually. Neil, who came through Vernon Noel. Vernon Dudley Berry, hey Noel, you can sing that to any tune you want to.
Das ist meine Welt und sonst gar nicht, no picture please. Keep it going.
The Royal College common room on Friday night was where anybody who was anybody went. And that was where, I suppose, we met up. And then we played, you know, in local pubs. Most of them, we would play 2 or 3 numbers and we'd be asked to leave. So that was extremely good training.
I can't help it. Thank you, mein Herr Nellan. Danke schön.
All right, we're going to do blah, 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 blah. Something that goes like this. He kissed her. Where?
Who did? Yeah, sorry.
Like lightning, isn't it? He kissed her.
Who did?
This is the kind of thing at this stage of the proceedings that gives me enormous confidence. Okay. I don't think the Bonzos ever had a kind of career move in any of their bones, in any of them. It was just fun, you know. We were all pretty impecunious, you know, no money, you know, only enough money for beer or paint. Not a lot of painting got done. So it was a kind of a fun get-together thing. No, that's terrific. Nice. It's not fun if we have all the fun. You should have the fun too as well. So we sing, he kissed her, and you go, who did? And we go, he did. And we go, well, it's not bad,
And then Sam, we sort of found around the Royal College with some cutlery, making noises. Everyone thought that was great. So we had him along.
I was having a very difficult time at the Royal College of Art and had absolutely no money. So I got a job washing up. And that meant suddenly I had a bit of money to spend. So I went up the bar and heard this ridiculous sort of jazzy noise going on. I thought, right, I'll get a pair of spoons, which I just washed up. Went up there and started playing the spoons, and everybody thought it was pretty cool. Then I discovered actually the percussionist at the time didn't want to do it anymore. Would I take over on the drums? So that's how I got a bit of a kit together. Went up to Portobello Road and bought a whole load of old drums and stuff.
And then after that, when we got going a bit, we did a gig in the Kensington Hotel, and Roger came along then. He'd sort of heard of this row going on and somehow stimulated him or something. And he joined.
Sid said, come down. You know, I know one of the guys there, and bring Lenny. And we go along. So, of course, we go along to the Ken Hotel, and it's the Bonzos, the early Bonzos, with Sam there with this pole with all spoons. And you know, we couldn't get in. The place was bursting, you know, and there's this racket coming, this terrible row. I couldn't make out what the tune was. So it came to a break, and Sid said, yeah, introduced us, so can we sit in? So Neil said, yeah. And we sat in and played the evening, you know. And Neil turned around and said, great solo. He said, you know, good. Tapped me on the shoulder and said, join the band, you know. No, I'm not joining any bands. I've had enough. I've had 14 music, you know, I'm sick of it, you know, not joining bands. Tell you what, come along to the next gig, and, you know, then I won't come anymore. So I kept coming on. So it just kept on and on. In the end up, we were all in the band.
Then years later, or maybe 2 years later, Larry came along, because he had always been our greatest admirer and friend of Viv's at the Central. And he was sort of brought in. He couldn't play or anything, but he could tap dance like nobody else.